Hi everyone, this is Frank DiMora, and I'm going to be sharing a little bit with you about God's curse today. And the Lord has given us insight about what to do and what not to do in relation to dealing with the nation Israel. And we know without a doubt there are blessings and there are curses that come if you support Israel or if you go against Israel. Now, when you look in Genesis chapter 12, verses 1 through 3, you'll find the first warning there. It says, "Now the Lord had said unto Abraham, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto the land that I will show thee. And I will make thee a great nation," which he has already done. "And I will bless thee, and make thy name great. And thou shalt be a blessing, and I will bless them that bless thee," now get this, "and curse him that curseth thee. And in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed." So we know that there's cursing. Now, in Joel chapter 3, verse 2, it says this, "And I will also gather all nations, and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land." So anybody who tries to divide up the nation of Israel, we're told in Joel chapter 3, verse 2, that God is going to destroy them. And then, obviously, we see that nations, leaders, are trying to part the land of Israel through the peace process. Now in Zechariah chapter 12 verse 3 it says this, "And in that day I will make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people," not just some, all the people. So at the end of the day, everybody's going to be coming against Israel. And it goes on to say, "All that burden themselves with it shall be cut into pieces, though all the people of the earth be gathered together against it." Now, on my May 10th, 2013 post, I warned you to watch for a major disaster to hit the U.S. as John Kerry was going to Israel to work on the peace talks which center on dividing Israel. This is what I said.
All right, let's move on. You'll see the headline here when we're dealing with peace and safety, this call for peace and safety. The peace process has been stalled for almost 2 years, a little bit over 2 years. So now that we're starting to hear the call for peace and safety, that's when your ears should be perking up. Now it says in his headline, Kerry says Israel, Palestinians serious about peace. And here's the article. See what it says. "The Israelis and the Palestinians are serious about pursuing peace," the United States Secretary of State John Kerry said on Thursday. Kerry is due to meet Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas and the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on May 21st or the 22nd to try to revive the long-stalled Middle East peace talks. And now we know that Kerry arrived on May 20th. 2013. The talks collapsed in late 2010 in a dispute over the continued Israeli building of Jewish settlements on the West Bank land that the Palestinians want for a state. Now, a couple things I wanted to point out. Let's watch on the 21st and the 22nd what happens if there's any disasters that will happen during the time or during this week. Because usually what happens is when somebody is trying to separate or divide up Israel, natural disasters happen. I have a chapter in my book about it, and so we need to be paying attention.
So that's my warning that is, by the way, still posted at my site. And I've been tracking this for a very, very long time. And every time that a nation or leaders come against Israel, we see these natural disasters. And this is why I pointed this out to you last week, because I started to see the pattern develop again where Barack Obama was sending out John Kerry to pursue the peace talks again that have been stalled. And in the peace agreement, or in the agenda, the Obama agenda is to actually give away land. In other words, divide the land in Israel. And I knew in my heart, knowing what the word of the Lord says, we should be watching. And sure enough, let me show you what's happened. All right, so first of all, let me set the scene for you. You'll see in this article as of May the 14th, 2013. It says, John Kerry on Middle East, we are prepared to make peace now in 2013. This is an article that talks about John Kerry going over to the Middle East and endorsing this peace agreement, or trying to push this peace agreement. Now, it says, John Kerry welcomed the Arab League bid, saying that I don't think that you can underestimate the significance in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, the Egyptians, the Jordanians, and others coming to the table and saying that we are prepared to make peace now in 2013. Now, here's where the bad part about this comes. Everybody would love to have peace. But when you're dealing with God's curse on people trying to divide the land, that's where you have to make the discernment where to stop so that your nation doesn't get involved in the curse or face disasters. Now, it says, officials said that Kerry's proposal includes 2 small changes to make the Arab Peace Initiative more palatable to Israel, saying that the 1967 lines could be modified through mutual agreement and pressing for stronger security guarantees. So what Kerry is still doing is they want to get these 1967 lines, which the 1967 lines are when Israel had to go to war, when they were attacked in 1967, they took land away from the Palestinian and the Arabs. And of course, in the peace process, the Arabs want this land back. The Palestinians don't want to do anything unless they get this land back. And so the Obama agenda is to give the land back, but not just the 1967 borders. They want to give back East Jerusalem to the Palestinians, which means that Obama is burdening himself over Jerusalem, just like Zechariah said, don't do. So, now that you understand what's going on, and we see May 14th, so here's the beginning. May 14th, we know around this time we started to see major flooding in the United States. But I'm not going to go there because there's something even bigger that you're going to see, and I'm going to show you the connection to what happened with Bill Clinton, what he did when he was trying to divide up the land, and I'm going to show you the comparisons, and believe me, folks, this is going to blow you away. All right, so as I said, on May 14, 2013, we saw President Obama pushing John Kerry to begin the peace talks, which have been stalled, and they are actually, obviously the center around dividing the nation of Israel. Now, before I get into what's happened with Obama, I want to show you something as a comparison to what happened to Clinton to what's actually happening to Barack Obama. So, let's take another look at what happened to the President Clinton, when he tried to divide Israel in 1998. Because the same thing is happening to President Obama in 2013. So let me go back to 1998, and you'll see that when you do the research, on the same day that Clinton disrespected Netanyahu, who was the prime minister of Israel at that time, and he is now, Monica Lewinsky, the scandal breaks and the mass media begins to occupy a major portion of Clinton's time. So on the day that he does this to Israel's leader, we see that something that has been brewing all of a sudden breaks on the very day that he does this to Israel, and it's not a coincidence. Now, as I said, what is happening, or what happened to President Clinton, is happening to Obama. Now, I wanted to show you, I'm going to the Post. This is the Washington Post. It was January 21st of 1998. And you'll see Clinton accused of urging the aid to lie. And what happened here is there was a precedent set here that when President Clinton dishonored the Israeli Prime Minister, there was a snowball coming down the mountain, if you will, rolling. And it just smacked Clinton right in the face. And as a result of this Monica Lewinsky scandal, there was a hearing to go into place to impeach the president. All right, so what I did is I just went to Google and I put Clinton impeachment. And you'll see, when you go to the images, you'll see that President Clinton went up before they had to go to these trials, these hearings. And obviously, when you see the paper that Clinton impeached. So there was, as I said, the motion was set. He disrespected Israel at the same time that he was trying to separate or divide up the land of Israel. And so some nasty things came down the pike to President Clinton, and we're seeing the same thing happening, as you're going to see here in a second, the same thing happening to President Obama. All right, so now we're at the Daily News, and this was taken on actually May the 20th. And it says, Kerry pushes dual peace bids in the Middle East when he's returning. And he returned he headed back towards the Middle East on May the 20th, 2013, to start up the peace talks, which, keep in mind, never forget, the agenda is to divide up the nation of Israel, make it a two-state, one for Palestinians and one for the Israelis. It says Secretary of State John Kerry was returning to the Middle East Monday, aiming to shore up peace efforts as he seeks to help to end the Syria war and coax Israel and the Palestinians back to the talks. So the most important part about this is the date. Because he leaves, John Kerry goes back to the Middle East on the May 20th, 2013. Now, as he is going, keep in mind, we saw from May 14th, we started to see that there was going to be another push. John Kerry was getting ready to go over to the Middle East. We started to see some storms brewing already, some flooding in the Midwest. So here you go on May 14th. I want to bring this to your attention. Look at this. Keep in mind what happened to Clinton. Look at this headline. Obama administration under siege from 3 huge scandals. Here's why it could come or all come crashing down. And it tells you what these scandals are. Now, Clinton got bruised with the scandal with Monica Lewinsky. That was just one. Now look what's going on here, because I'm going to scroll down and I'll show you what they are. So Obama is now facing, keep in mind, this is around the same time frame as Obama's pushing Kerry to go over and to divide up the nation of Israel. So all of a sudden, within a 6-day period of time, if you will, the scandals break, and now Obama's got to face, number one, the IRS as a political weapon. The IRS singled out and harassed conservative political groups, including during the election year of 2012. So that is the first one. I'm not going to go through the whole article. I'm going to have the link there for you. You could read the whole link, but I'm going to show you the 3 scandals that he is now having to deal with, and they're major, and all of them could lead to you're going to see something that happened to President Clinton. So number 2, look at this. It says the frontal assaults on the First Amendment. If a free press is the foundation upon which a representative government is built, the Obama administration has allowed the Department of Justice to take a sledgehammer to it. So that's the second one. And the third one, obviously, if you've been following the news, is what happened in Benghazi, the lies and the cover-ups that now the government officials are pressing to get all of the emails and to get everything out in the open, because it certainly looks at this point that there was some lies going down perpetrated by the White House, and now President Obama has three major fronts to deal with. So we see the same exact thing happen, but it doesn't end there. Let me go on. So just like we saw back in 1998 when President Clinton got stuck in this scandal with the Monica Lewinsky, it ended up in his impeachment. And here we have May 20th, 2013, you'll see the GOP congressman comes up with the new theory of impeaching Obama. So what we have here now is the same rhetoric, we have the same scene being set as had happened to President Clinton when he tried to divide up the land. And now we have the three scandals that started just like a Monica Lewinsky, but only these three scandals for Obama, and now they're talking about impeachment for President Obama. So you can start to see, put these things together, and I'm hoping that you'll see the clear picture of what's going on, because it's much bigger than you realize. It involves the curse of God on the people, leaders of the nations, who come down on God's chosen people. He's going to deal with these people to show that he is God over the world. And so it shouldn't come as a great surprise that this is happening to Obama, who was trying to press Israel into dividing up the land. But there's more. Now, keep in mind that Kerry took off to go back to the Middle East on May 20th. Now, just like I've been showing in my live presentations, there's a host of articles and a host of reports and documentation that show on the very day or a couple days either before or after, major disasters take place. Now, I showed you in my video what I said to look for next week. And I said that look for a major disaster because it always happens when nations come against the nation of Israel. And so, sure enough, here we are, a week after my warning. Take a look.
All that devastation and heartbreak and more is magnified by the fact that it has happened there before. Ground zero for one of the most destructive and deadly tornadoes ever, an F5 storm that hit 14 years ago this month. ABC's Ginger Z is on the scene, and Ginger, what a horrifying coincidence.
You know, May 3rd, 1999 is the tornado that we study in meteorology school. It is infamous. And as we came upon the debris yesterday, just 3 hours after the tornado, people were coming up to me and saying, I can't believe it happened again. Two storms so similar hitting the same town.
Two tornadoes!
It is an astounding...
All right, now I'm going to stop it there for a second. Bear with me. We're going to get back to this news. But I want to show you something for 1999. All right, so 1999, May 3rd, 1999. Now, I wanted to show you this because they're talking today or yesterday in the news, ABC News is referencing the tornado of May 3rd, 1999. And I want to show you that the curse was into effect on May 3rd, 1999. Now, on May 3rd, 1999, the very day that Yasser Arafat, who used to be the PLO leader, he is now dead, but that Yasser Arafat was scheduled to declare the Palestinian state with Jerusalem as its capital. Keep in mind Zechariah 12 when it talks about the burdensome stone. So it's the most powerful super tornado storm system ever to hit the United States, sweeps across Oklahoma and Kansas. The winds are clocked at 316 miles per hour, the fastest wind speed ever recorded. The declaration is posted to December 1999 at the request of President Clinton, whose letter to Arafat encourages him in his aspirations for his own land. So in other words, at that time, on May 3rd, 1999, the president writes this letter and encourages the separation of the nation of Israel. Are you understanding what's happening here? So he goes on to say, he also writes the Palestinians they have the right to determine their own future on their own land, and that they deserve to live free today, tomorrow, and forever. May 3rd, 1999, one of the worst, severest tornadoes, F5, the biggest you can get, strikes the United States, hits Oklahoma. Now let's go back to present day, May 20th, 2013. Watch the similarities.
A nearly identical path. One tornado probability
All right, let me stop it there. Identical path, identical situations. President of the United States, 1999, tries to separate Israel. A massive E5 tornado hits. May 20th, same thing happens. Identical.
Study predicts that the odds of an EF4 or stronger tornado hitting a house is just 1 in 10 million. Experts say the chance of a house being hit twice, 1 in 100 trillion. And yet this morning, it appears this may have happened here.
Oh, you see the similarities there. Now, take a look at this. We see that it may not even be over yet, because according to the news that I just pulled up on CNN, it says severe weather moves to the east. So we're starting to see now some more possibility of some more severe weather that you'll see here. Very large hail, damaging winds, isolated tornadoes, and it's moving towards the East Coast right now. So I'm hoping that you'll understand. Let me go back here for a second. I'm hoping that you understand when the Lord tells us in His Word, again here in Genesis chapter 12, verses 1 through 3, that He is going to curse anybody that does these things to His people Israel, that it actually happens. Now, what I showed you today is only a tip of the iceberg of the events that have happened over the years for nations and peoples coming against the nation of Israel. So as it continues on, as the president continues on to try to divide up the nation of Israel, I will continue to warn you and point out the word of the Lord so that hopefully some of you will understand and you will give heed to the word of God, and you will receive Christ as your Savior and believe what He tells you. Because if you believe it, you're actually helping out the nation, because anybody who believes these things, and we believe in God's curse, and we want blessings to be poured out, that they will work to try to change the agenda. That agenda from the Obama administration is to divide and separate and burden yourself over Jerusalem. Until the agenda changes, you can expect more of God's curse.